Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 339. We have Max has kind of returned. He's here, sort of.
I once stumbled into horse
There he
Twitter.
is. All right. He was here before we went live, and then he froze as we were going live. So I assume he's going to be popping back in soon. But that's Dreamcast guy. He is here tonight. Sean will be on at some point. I think he's watching wrestling. I don't know. It's one of the three-letter factions. I don't know. He's watching something. And we also have Josie, who is off tonight. She'll be back next weekend. But we do have MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, with us tonight.
Hello. It's great to be here.
Good to have MVG here. We had like Assassin's Creed. There was RoboCop going on. So a lot of stuff happening this week that we can talk about here. Oh, Max is back. Good.
Dreamcast
Good.
chair.
All right, good stuff. We also have OJ Player Essence joining us tonight.
What is good? Good to be back. Might have to leave a little bit early tonight, so I might not be here for the whole stream, but I'm here right now.
Okay, good to have OJ here.
Gus, come on.
Oh,
Please,
okay.
Gus, go.
I think that's a cat or something. Okay. And then we also have Evan. Evan's here too.
Yep.
All right. Like I said, if you see Sean pop in randomly, don't worry. I'm sure he'll make his presence known. He'll yell or something. So he'll pop in at some point. Okay, Max is back. Good.
Welcome back.
Max is back. Welcome back, Max.
Hello. Okay. There we go. Wait, is it?
You had it right the first time. There you go. Okay, you're good.
Here we go. Yes.
We're on. Okay. Good stuff. Good to have Max back.
Hi. Sorry.
All right, cool. Tonight, though, we have to go over some of the Sony stuff. Naughty Dog with their issues, a very odd remaster also being spotted again that seems to solidify it a bit more. The 3DS and the Wii U online play going away, which basically erases those systems at this point from Nintendo. We also have Assassin's Creed Mirage that came out. MVG and I have been playing it a bit. Max played it too. We'll go over that. And then also the RoboCop demo. I figured we would kick that around a bit, even though it's I think we need that full version because there's some odd things going on with this one. I do want to give a shout out though to a couple of the executive producers. We have John O, Joshua Butts, Varang, who popped in here actually throughout the month. So shout out to Varang. And then William Hogue, that's over on spawncastnetwork.com. Check it out over there. The Xbox podcast went up and Game and Talk as well. So a couple of things up there and having a lot of fun with that. So make sure you check that out. The link's down below in the description. I did want to start though tonight with the Sony stuff because I saw Max, you were talking about it. I know MVG. I'm very curious what MVG thinks about some of this too because it has to do with The Last of Us, and you were okay with Last of Us Part 1 for the most part. So I wanted to see where your thoughts were with this and just Naughty Dog in general, as we can kind of see how they have been with this generation so far. But the story that came up this week had to do with Naughty Dog and contractors being laid off or just having their contracts ended. About 25 people were apparently reported as leaving. They were mostly QA testers. And with that news, we also found out that this Last of Us Factions multiplayer, that's apparently on ice. It's shelved. Someone mentioned who generally has pretty good sources with it online that it's dead. Canceled. Unfortunate for Last of Us Factions fans because we saw concept art for it, right? Neil Druckmann talked about it on stage with Jeff Keighley at least once, and now it looks like it's not going to happen. And a lot of people pointing at Bungie because Bungie said send it back, and now it doesn't look like it's coming back to us. So first off, we'll start with that. What do we think about the Last of Us Factions thing? Is there any path forward for it, or do we actually think this just no, it's not happening? They're moving on. Last of Us 3, new IP, and that's kind of it.
I mean, it definitely seems like they're moving on, but man, how bad must it have been for them to scrap it? Like, it seems easy. The original Last of Us Factions was so popular. Like, one of the weird people that got hired and then left was some guy who specializes in battle passes. So even that sounds weird. What kind of battle pass were we going to get? Like, I feel like maybe it's that Last of Us doesn't really... I can't imagine it as games as a service. What the heck? Were we going to get Division with zombies? I really don't know. I mean, I'm so excited for it. The fact that it's most likely canceled is disappointing, but still just so confusing.
Yeah, I wonder how far along it was because we saw Sega cancel Hyenas and that game was basically done. And apparently, word came out that's one of the most expensive projects Sega's done is Hyenas. So, I don't know. Live service stuff, a little sketchy. What do you think, MVG?
I think Factions has always been one of those titles that we've talked about over the last couple of years where it's is it even real? Does it exist? What state is it in? All that sort of stuff. And I think, it's all kind of come to a head now where I think, honestly, beyond, an alpha build that they may be playtesting internally at Naughty Dog, I don't think this game will ever see the light of day for different reasons. But I think ultimately, this kind of confirmation that's occurred really just, that this game is on ice really just kind of solidifies the fact that this game was never really anything that I feel like was ever going to ever ship out the door, to be honest.
Sean's with us now, joining us. RGT,
Hello.
how was wrestling?
It was fine.
Okay. Wait, isn't there like a main event and all? Like, I feel like this goes later than that. Like the 9.
Yeah. There's a pay-per-view going on, so I'll watch.
Okay, you're gonna watch the side. Will this involve any kind of random yelling or anything? No. Okay. I don't know if there was anything hype going on with that. I wasn't sure. Sure. Okay. We were discussing the Last of Us Factions debacle. How it appears that it's gone, like it's done.
Right. Yeah.
Feels like a waste of time for Naughty Dog. That's kind of where I'm with it now. I mean, how long do you think they worked on this, and how, like, in terms of resources, how much do they put into this instead of work on, say, Last of Us Part 3? It seems kind of strange. What was your take on this, OJ, when you saw the news break about Naughty Dog seemingly struggling with the live service aspect to the point where they're shelved and they're out?
I'm not sure. They never did any live service before, so it seemed like it wasn't comfortable for them, and now it looks like it's not comfortable for them. That's why I've always been a fan. I know live service, but if you could just make regular multiplayer like they had it before, you wouldn't run into stuff like this. But what did they do? Send it off to Bungie, right? Bungie said, no, this isn't live service. We know how to make live service. You guys don't. So, I mean, I don't know, man. That's why I'm not a fan of live service. I don't think everything needs to be live service. And this is one of the many reasons why I don't think it needs to be live service, because of stuff like this. Like, you can just make regular games with online multiplayer. And if you want to do microtransactions from there, you can figure out some way. But I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just another problem with live service games and how you do things when they had a great multiplayer. Last of Us Part 1.
People still play it now.
Yeah, it was great on PS3. It was great on PS4, and everything's screwed up because they got to go live service. Like, how does that benefit gamers? I don't know how anybody can sit there and say, yep, that's good for us to move everything over to live service, almost everything over when it comes to multiplayer. So I don't know. It sucks though. It sucks for the people that were looking forward to it, and hopefully they figure something out, because wasn't that the reason why there was no they said there was no multiplayer in The Last of Us Part 2 in the first place?
I think that's what's really causing a lot of frustration, OJ, with the fan base, is that it sounds like they opted to not do multiplayer in Last of Us Part 2, like attach a multiplayer mode, because they thought they could end up building it into its own game. And then they spent, what Last of Us Part 2 came out, 2020?
2020, yeah. 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah. So, I mean, you assume they were working on that because they would have realized it before the game came out. So, yeah. Was this like a 4-year project for them? This multiplayer that they scrapped? That's
it's rough. It's rough, but hey, man, it is what it is. You got to live with the decisions that they make. So we'll see how they salvage it, or see what they do, bring it back. I mean, it is live service is the new rage, right? Fortnite and all that. So
yeah,
you got to try.
Part of the report from Jason Schreier when he was kind of going over, it seemed like just Jim Ryan's tenure or time at Sony as the CEO. He kind of slipped like 2 sentences in that mentioned that there was some, I'd say, wavering confidence or some concern about trying to adapt live service games to some of these studios who have never really done live service games. And I thought of Naughty Dog immediately with this. So it seems odd kind of what they're trying to almost, it feels like force on some of the studios, or just like, hey, we a live service would be really good right now to have that to balance out how expensive some of these single player games are.
Right? Just make a money printer. We need a money printer. Like they think it's so easy and it's not.
I mean, we're to the point where we're seeing live service games fail before they come out. We just talked about Hyenas. Deviation, I don't know what happened there, but it looks like from the outside that their game just got scrapped or the funding got cut and they moved on from it. So that's kind of we've progressed to the point where these live service games aren't even making it out the door before they're just cut down. So, I mean, like we had questions about Project GG at Platinum Games now. That's supposed to be kind of a live service title. So it's not looking good on the live service stuff. And I mean, Sony's still trying to do 7 more of these things or something in the next 3 years. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting time with Sony. To see how that turns out.
They just need a couple of those to hit, and they'll be okay. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of what the most likely one would be to hit that we know of now, and unfortunately, we don't have any information on.
If all 7 of them fail, John, then
it's got to be Horizon. That's got to be the one that's going to hit.
I agree.
If all 7 of them fail, it's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly, even. But I mean, Jim Ryan won't be there to get the backlash from it. He's out.
Right. I do agree with OJ. There's leaked gameplay of the Horizon games as a service, and it looks so Monster Hunter, like with the team-based and have a character and hunt stuff and craft armor and then sell cosmetics. I think that has the most potential, but the Horizon brand, is that strong enough to build a progressive battle pass focused game?
Yeah, that's my concern about that, Max, because whenever I bring up Horizon, like I've run polls about it, it feels like it's actually one of Sony's like least popular franchises when you put it next to something like a God of War, or I mean, I guess technically a Spider-Man, sure. But if you put it next to any of those kind of games that are like console exclusive or what have you, or set up to be there day one as a console exclusive, it just doesn't seem to have the same pull as those. So a Monster Hunter setup would be fine, but we just had Wild Hearts, and they already cut support on that.
Oh yeah, wow. Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Monster Hunter like games, I think it's just like Monster Hunter in general. Capcom knows how to do it really well, and they have the brand. I don't know how well Monster Hunter like games will end up doing in the long run, but I do also want to recognize KJ, who's a member for 17 months. Shout out to KJ here. So that's my issue. I like Horizon, but every time I talk to somebody and I'm like, "Hey, do you like Horizon?" People are generally like, "Nah." Sean thinks the person talks too much. I don't know.
She does.
I can't get anything from it.
I think people try too much online to try to make it seem like it's like the greatest thing. Sometimes like people like, how can you not like, have you guys seen these posts? How can you not like this? And they're just like dodging, like you're making it look worse, bro.
Well, I consider myself like a big defender of Horizon. I love it, but I feel like it's one of those things where you either like that world and you like those characters, or you don't. And let's face it, it doesn't have the greatest gameplay. So yeah, I think once you start trying to let's remove Alloy and see if this will still sell. That's my big nervousness.
I think honestly, I think she might be one of the downers for a lot of people.
Oh, really?
Like, and I really do. Like Sean has expressed it to me, like, I don't really like Aloy that much. And I see that a lot of people are like, I just don't think she's that interesting.
Yeah, I don't think she's very interesting. I think that the graphics are what to me sell the game. The graphics are so good in the game. It's got a lot of content. So usually whenever it comes out, it doesn't matter if it's overshadowed by something. The people that play PlayStation games, or the people that are just looking for that next generation experience, are going to pick up Horizon. Even if they end up not liking it, you're always going to be impressed with how good the game looks. And it plays good enough. The gameplay is just good enough. The combat or whatever is just good enough. There's some things that it excels in very well, like graphics, for example. Sound design is very good. There's things that it excels really, really well in. So there's always going to be 8 million plus people, right? I think 10 million people plus that are going to be interested in this, no matter how crappy you think Aloy is or whatever the case is. People are going to buy it, whether they buy it at 70, they buy it at 50, they buy it at 30 or 40, they get a deal. They're going to buy it. It's going to do well. So I think that's the thing about Horizon. I mean, and yeah, that's what creates those like huge, like people love it or people hate it. With the live service game, though, I think that it could be, you're not going to have Aloy, right? Like it's not going to be like that. So people can be like, hey, maybe I could just play the game because I do like running around fighting robots. I mean, that's fun, so.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, just being able to create your own character, that might help, set it up how you want it to be molded to your experience and all that. I could see how that would play into it and might even be enjoyed more for that. So, but they still have to wrap up what appears to be a trilogy for the series. So maybe after I assume the last game coming up for this story, they'll then maybe move to a new character, or maybe they just move on from Horizon completely. Although it sounds like they have a lot of plans for this franchise going. They might beat this one to the ground, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think they can move on from. I don't think they can move on like that from this one. I think it'd be harder in today's day, like with the development, like the risks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could, but I mean that's a huge risk. Like when you're doing a multiplayer game, are they doing like a TV show or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're doing a TV show. I mean, they're doing a lot here. And then you're just like, okay, well, yeah, no more Horizon. It's like, oh wait, hold up.
Yeah, they're gonna find a way to stretch that franchise out. But I do. All right, so then on top of this with Naughty Dog, I gotta ask MVG about this, okay? Because this I saw this pop up, right? It was spotted in like the LinkedIn listing description, person going over some of their responsibilities, and they're working as like environmental artists and all these things with assets, and they list Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us 2 Remastered. The composer before already kind of talked about this, and everyone was like, I mean, the composer might just be doing music for something else. They were just joking with it, who knows? But it's listed there, the title. They're doing a remaster for this game, and there now words going around that it might be one of the releases for next year, which means that the 3 games that have come out of Naughty Dog so far, to my understanding, this generation is Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves Collection, Last of Us Part 1, and then Last of Us Part 2 Remastered.
Well, I gave Last of Us Part 1 Remastered a pass because I thought it wasn't really worth the outrage that people were mad about, about that game. Because look, ultimately, Last of Us Part 1 is a PS3 game that came out a long time ago. Yes, I'm aware that it came out for the PS4 and it got remastered and all that stuff. But the fact that they did kind of provide what they term, and I don't agree with, a ground up, remaster or remake of Last of Us on PlayStation 5, I was okay with it. I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, it's cool to see some new mechanics in the game, updated visuals, and just kind of some tweaks here and there. So I was kind of mostly on board with it. Now, with that said, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, that's a harder sell for me. Like, I mean, that game hasn't been around for very long. It won, what, Game of the Year, 4 years ago?
2020.
3 years ago, yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard for me to kind of defend them going back and doing that. I mean, look, I always welcome an update to a game that brings quality of life features and takes advantage of current generation console hardware. So, if we do get a 60 hertz, 60 FPS mode or a 120 FPS mode, potentially some ray tracing, I love that stuff, right? But I don't think that's enough to kind of justify.
Well, here's the interesting thing, MVG. Last of Us 2, if you go back and play it on the PS5, it got updates to where it's 1440p right? 60 now, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what's the move to get you to upgrade, because right now my assumption, this is a $10 upgrade path. All right.
No way.
I could be wrong, and this could just be a $70 Last of Us Part 1 situation. But
they could just do the same thing and just delist the current one, and this is the new, this is the one now, right? Like, maybe they'll coincide it with season 2 of the TV show potentially. I mean, there's reselling games that you've already made in the past is the publisher's way. I mean, every publisher does it. So I could see them delisting the current one and then just having this one as the new.
That'd be crazy. They delist that. Man,
I could see it.
I mean, the original leak called it a director's cut. If this doesn't have extra story stuff, that's the Hill clip this. If this doesn't have extra story stuff, I think no one's going to buy it. As popular as this game is, everybody just bought it. Like, that's my thing, is that this was a huge success not even 3 full years ago, I guess is my thought. It's like, it needs something extra and different. Like, I've seen a lot of Naughty Dog fans saying that we didn't see much of Tommy. It'd be cool to see Tommy's journey through Chicago. That's totally different. That actor said he'd come back. I don't know. If this is just a remaster of graphics, hell no.
I mean, the game already looks really good. Like, this is one of the top tier games when it comes to like visuals, animation, presentation, the whole thing. So I don't know how much better it gets at this time. Again, we'll see what they do on the current system, the PS5. That's not a remaster someday, but I don't know. Last of Us 2 remastered just feels like kind of a waste of time, unless, like you mentioned, Max, there is extra content being added in, bridging stories, maybe letting you play as Tommy at certain points in the story or something. Like, they could do stuff to at least make it feel like you're getting actual content from it, because I don't think the path is there. Like with Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, they did the cutscenes in real time so that they could match the lip movement up to the words depending on which language you had chosen, so it didn't look off. I don't think something like that is really there for them with Last of Us Part 2. So the only thing I think of is they want to get it in that PS5 box, they want to get on the store shelves, and they want to have it there for when the next season of Last of Us happens. And this is their strategy. If it's 70, that's crazy. I assume this is Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves, $50 release, and then it's a $10 upgrade if you have the disc.
Can I pitch all my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory? I think we were supposed to have the Last of Us factions a long time ago. I think we were supposed to have it in like 2022, and all this stuff was in line, and it all got finished out of order. And I think originally we were going to get Last of Us factions, and buying Part 1 remake and Part 2 remaster would unlock stuff in your battle pass. It would give you cosmetics. Like, I just can't imagine that they would sell these games. I don't know. This seems just so ridiculously scummy. I don't know. And so half-baked. I don't know. It seems like it was part of a bigger campaign that kind of got derailed at some point.
Yeah, it's not been a great start to or I should say not a very interesting start to the generation for Naughty Dog. And I'm wondering when they're going to get their next big game out. If they had worked on factions for a good while and now that's shelved, are we looking at a 2026, 2027 release for them with a game?
I think they have one new game this generation.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about a studio that I believe takes maybe up to 6 years to make a game, it's Naughty Dog. I mean, the bar is so high with those guys. I mean, Last of Us 2, a lot of people didn't like it, but you can't deny what it was. And it was a very, very big and a very ambitious game, and a very, very good game, in my opinion. But I think the next game is just going to be even bigger, right? It has to be. So I think with that in mind, this is a game that's at least 5 or 6 years in the making. So it's probably going to take them out, not right at the end of the generation, but I mean, they're going to be like right into, the tail end of the generation, I would think, by the time their game comes out.
Yeah. One of the last games in the generation. Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's tough. That's really tough. You know what they could do? And I don't know if it's possible, even depending on how much they altered and changed that multiplayer. You strip it back and then you put it as a multiplayer mode on The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. And it's just, hey, there's multiplayer. It's a pretty standard thing. You can play it. It's not a live service. Have fun.
Gene Park's in the chat and he agrees. He says, yeah, I think we're only getting Last of Us Part 3 at the end of the PS5. I bet it will be cross-gen with PS6. I agree.
Wow.
I think that's pretty accurate.
They're supposed to be working on some other game. It's a new intellectual property. I think it's been referenced as it being a fantasy game. So maybe that's interesting, but yeah, it's going to be rough for Naughty Dog fans for the first 3 quarters of this generation. That's too bad. That is, because if factions had worked out, we'd probably be talking about that right now. And unfortunately, because it's not there, there's basically just a hole in their release schedule now. So, but
they need something, man. Naughty Dog is one of their best studios. This feels like such a huge L.
They were at this point. It almost feels like now, with kind of the way people are viewing them, they got to show up with like another mind blowing game to get people back on track with them at this time, because we're hearing about remasters and remakes and projects that have been sent back to the to work on again. So it's not looking great right now in terms of Naughty Dog. But I wouldn't mind seeing them just do a standard multiplayer for Last of Us Part. I don't know where we got to the point where now you can't have just a bolted on multiplayer anymore. It's got to be a battle pass microtransaction filled adventure now. It's strange. I mean, OJ's making a point. I can see it. Something's happening over there.
Ella muted.
Yeah, he's talking through his mic.
He's spitting. Let him. We should all
let him cook.
Muted.
Let him
muted, my
cook.
bad. Let me cook muted, but it doesn't have to be though. It doesn't. There's Splatoon is successful. There's other multiplayers that are successful. I don't know, man. Like I get it. Live service, you make hella money. But I'm telling you, Last of Us Part 2, if they just had a normal multiplayer, I think people would have just forgiven the whole Joel and one thing. If they had a dope factions in there, I think it wouldn't have been anywhere near as bad.
They can do it.
Like-
they could do a crossover because they have the Sony the Bravia Core. They changed that over to like the PlayStation Core, the pictures thing where it's like you can rent movies. They could do a crossover with like Last of Us 2 Remastered and Caddyshack to where you get like
this is disrespectful.
You set that one up for a long time, John.
I know.
Damn,
I had
was
to.
thinking
I
you
had
were
to explain
serious.
They showed up with the press release like we know you guys understand Bravia Core, you all use it. Now we're going to turn it into
I'm telling
PlayStation
you,
pictures.
Matt, people would have just been like, "Yeah, I hate but man, that multiplayer was great." Like, I don't know. I think it builds more value. People at one point they're selling it for like $10 or something like that. I know if the PS4 version, the PS3 version got cheaper too, but it seemed like that one just got discounted faster. So I don't know. To me, man, like I just think that like we should just cool it on the live service. Like everything doesn't got to be live service, in my opinion. If they're banking on everything being live service, watch, man. Like a lot of this stuff's gonna fail, and that's gonna be then it might just go back to having regular multiplayer and building value through that, and just selling microtransactions or just selling stupid stuff through that. Like
I agree.
Oh.
I feel like Splatoon is such an interesting and good example. I love Splatoon a lot. It's by far my most played Switch game. And yeah, what happened to that? What happened to selling a game that's multiplayer focused
And then selling
for
a DLC
$60
to unlock new stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and just playing it and loving it. And then when you get bored, you move on.
which is, I mean, it's all the same shit. You're either buying it in DLC or you're buying it through a battle pass. Like one's cosmetic, one's new characters. Like what are we...
Here's the thing though. The difference is is the structure of how it is though. Like
so you have to go to the shop to buy it instead of through the game to the shop to buy it.
You can't buy like a bunch of just stuff in Splatoon. Like let's say you want to like energy or like live services, there's like a lot of like just things that you can just like, for example, Pokemon Unite, right? There's just like a lot of stuff that you can just buy. Splatoon, you can't do that. Like everything, you just unlock everything, so it's a very different structure than like what a real live service game is in today's day. Now Splatoon does have like, there's like Amiibo or something like that, like that's like locked where there's like some type of gear, but for the most part, you can unlock everything in the game.
So that's mechanics, but I feel like scale of visuals, the mechanic, everything that needs to go into a game for multiplayer compared to Last of Us sized and visually aesthetically pleasing and all that versus Splatoon, I feel like there's a lot more of a budget on one side than the other. Are you saying just to cut the budget back greatly and just put out whatever at a smaller
I don't know
tier?
what the budget was for, The Last of Us Part 1 in terms of what they did for the multiplayer there. I'm not sure, and you have a point there, Evan. Absolutely, you've got a point. I don't know. I don't feel like if you're doing maybe MVG can do this. Like, I don't think the graphics need to be as high production as the single player when you're doing a multiplayer. So yeah, you can lower that, right? And it can be something that you add content as time goes on, and you can make the microtransaction stuff, but you could just do it a little bit not so obvious.
I just
you
feel
know
like
what I'm saying?
yeah,
like Splatoon is like it's there, but it's nowhere near as bad or obvious.
I just feel like the beast of multiplayer is so different because it used to just be let's just reuse our old assets from the game itself. Let's just cut off portions of the map that seem good for kind of PvP, and then we'll just put it out like that with some netcode. But now it's like you need all new maps, you need all specific stuff, you need all specific characters, specific animations, like everything. It just gets out there.
Let's move over here to the 3DS and the Wii U, as they're shutting down online services. This is happening April 2024, so you still have roughly 6 months. We're waiting for the exact date in April, but about 6 months before it's shut down completely. Of course, we already had the stores, so like the digital storefronts, those are shut down on the systems, and now people seem like they're concerned about certain games and kind of just being left behind. Like the one that I see brought up a lot is Xenoblade Chronicles X, I guess, because it had some unique online features to it. And the game's still stuck on the Wii U, but this this is something that I am curious. One, how many people were actually playing the Wii U or the 3DS? I haven't played online with the 3DS in quite some time, but there were a lot of people who seemed pretty concerned about it.
It sucks because there are pretty close knit communities, right? That still play on there. Splatoon 1, there are some people that still play on there. But the Pokemon games, right? Like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, those have like a bazillion Pokemon on there. People still like to play those online. So that's the thing, that part that kind of sucks with all of this. And yes, Xenoblade Chronicles X, that has particular armor and custom sets that can only be found on there, like through online play. So when that shuts down, there's no way, unless they do some type of update or something, there's no way to actually get that content in the game. There's a number of things that are exclusive to the online play in Xenoblade Chronicles X. So yeah, that's very unfortunate for those, who wanted to get into that. I'm guessing though, if you wanted that, you'd probably already played it by now, and got it. But still, the fact that it was tied to online, it sucks. So yeah, man, it's not like these servers are like that old. They're old.
12. Well, what would be 12 months for the 3DS then, or 12 years? I'm sorry, for the 3DS.
Yeah, I guess that's a long time, but it's not like it's been like 20 years, or something like that, right?
It's because I know that like the PS3 still functions online. You can play that. The Vita's still online. Somehow the Vita's gonna like online servers outlive these things.
I'll keep it a buck. I don't play any of this shit, but like I'm just saying, like for those who do, it's rough. But I don't play 3DS and Wii U anymore. So.
What do you think happened here, MVG? Why are they shutting these servers down for the Wii U and the 3DS if we have other systems that are still rolling along technically for online play?
I think it's time, basically, where they need to just kind of keep moving forward. And you guys may correct me here, but Nintendo account wasn't a thing on 3DS, right? Like, and
not like how it is now on the Switch. No.
So if I was to speculate, I would say that their focus going forward is just going to be Nintendo account. That's the only thing that they want to concern themselves with. So they're kind of wiping the slate clean, if you will, of kind of the legacy that they have. Look, I never like it when this happens. You guys know my thoughts on this. I've made videos on it in the past about when store closures happen. There's always a silver lining. I know that there is kind of alternate servers you can connect to now. I think Pretendo, and there's some other things you can do. But even more than that, of course, the entire catalog of games, including all DLC, everything is available on the internet. And so if we're talking about preservation, everything's been backed up and preserved. It's already there. So, hacking your 3DS is something that, most people kind of accept these days as a thing. So there's really no reason why you couldn't go down that path once these servers close down. But yeah, unfortunate. And again, I think probably Nintendo account is the reason why they have decided to shut these servers off.
What's really weird, MVG? The servers for Splatoon and Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, those were down for like half a year or something. Nintendo had pulled them down because I think there was some sort of vulnerability or exploit.
Yeah. Yep.
And they brought them back in August, like 2 months ago, and now they're announcing they're shutting them back down. And it seems weird that they didn't just go, why are we bringing these back? Let's just leave them offline. Who cares? It seems, I guess they wanted to just give people a chance to play them again before they ripped it back away. Just have them experience that hurt all over again. It just seems strange to go that route. But I will say, I do think we need Xenoblade Chronicles X moved up. I'll just say that at least because the online feature stuff, I feel like that's something that needs to happen. And it probably won't just because of that.
I've been saying that's the only game. That's the only Xeno game that's not on Switch, not on a modern system.
Yeah, it seems weird. Like, I guess it's technically like outside of the current storyline and stuff they've set up here.
Yeah, it's well, no, it's a spoiler, but it's outside of what they've done with all of the regular games, but it can be fit in if you beat Future Redeemed. It can somehow fit in, but it's not really in terms of like the characters and stuff like that. It's not really. There's some theories that it is, but no, those people are psychos. It's not.
Oh my god.
those people. It's not the same. Like the first 1, 2, and 3, and like the DLCs, they're not connected directly with the characters and stuff with Xenoblade X. So yeah, but yeah, it'd be dope if it was. And I mean, obviously on the Switch, it'd be cool because it's a different type of Xeno game.
I mean, Sony's got to be real annoyed right now because they tried to shut all the stuff down. They got crushed and they backtracked, and like Nintendo's just, we're doing it, whatever.
The difference though there is, John, is that Sony gave us like a 4-month window, something like that. Because I remember they announced it kind of in the fall, and they said by summer, in the spring, and then by summer it was going to be done. Like it was like maybe 5 months, and I think the lead time was really what got people annoyed about it. Like if you give 18 months heads up, people are going to be pissed off about it. But ultimately, you know, you've given people enough time to settle all their business, download whatever they want, finalize their purchases, and then, you know, and then do it. But the Sony thing, they just kind of sprung it on us, you know, and it was like, oh yeah, in a couple of months, we're going to just be shutting down these and it's like, whoa, you can't do that. I mean, other companies, like I said, give you a better grace time.
I saw the developers who were still working on video games were even surprised. They were like, really? We're about to release a game. What's going on here?
People making Vita games or something.
Yeah.
They were about to release. I remember that.
Hey, if I was Jim Ryan, I would have announced that those stores shutting down as I'm resigning. This is all shutting down. I'm out. Like, let the other CEO deal with it. But
I think Jim Ryan right now has level 7 clearance out of 7. Like he's got the lowest level of clearance. All he can do right now is just write emails. I think that's all he can do.
You're probably right, but I feel like Sony's probably gonna U-turn again and be like, all right, now all this stuff's going away. I mean, it's like the last thing left because even Microsoft like is moving off the 360.
At some point, at some point they're gonna shut all this stuff down at some point. So.
But that should be it then. All the systems that aren't necessarily tied into our current accounts with all 3 companies. I mean, we should all now have our own accounts that just continue forward. So I expect the same for Nintendo when they show the next system. But we will see. Let me pull up. I do want to go to some of the super chats here soon, but I have to bring this up now. Sean, where are you?
You might be here.
Where's Sean?
I'm here.
IGN put out an article, and MVG commented on it, of course. They were going after Redfall for the low player count numbers. I think Redfall you need 4 people on Redfall for a party, right? Only 3 people were playing, so technically you could not form a party in Redfall even if you went into like matchmaking or whatever it is, right, to get people together. 4 hours after they posted that, we had the 60 FPS update patch go live. So it is a thing now that you jump on. It'll be 60 frames on the Series X. I think the Series S does its best. It's kind of iffy, but the Series X, it's like a locked 60, it seems, from what people are saying. That's good. They also added in some extra things when it comes to enemy population density, and then also AI, stealth takedowns, stuff that sounds like it would have made the playthrough a lot more fun.
Yeah.
But of course, we had to play through it when it was at its worst. Either way, 60 frames per second. Sean, how you feeling?
I mean, I have no interest in going back to it. It's nice that it did come out. You know, they at least kept their word on like some companies. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a too little, too late situation. I think at the end of the day, like people, they've already sampled that game. You can look at the Steam stats and see not many people are going back to it. You know, so I've heard good things. My editor told me he's enjoying it now, but he didn't finish it when it initially came out. So, you know, like cool, but it shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. Like obviously that game was rushed out, and this is probably what the game was supposed to be, but they had to, you know, get it in that timeline window because they said that all those games were coming out in the next 12 months or whatever.
Well, I have good news for you, Sean. The player count went up 1,000% after the announcement. Went from 5 to 50.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it's a game that, you know, it released in a rough state. Like, I mean, it is what it is.
So now that this has happened, is the Pokemon patch coming next month?
No,
Is it following up? Okay, we got the Redfall. Pokemon next.
no,
Probably not. They don't have the world's most powerful console.
I heard that the DLC made the Pokemon experience worse. I have not bought the DLC. Okay, I assume the update is coming with the next Switch. I assume that's the update. Okay, I'll get it then, and maybe I'll check out the DLC there. I was very impressed though that the Scarlet and Violet run worse now with the DLC. That's incredible stuff.
hey,
I think the DLC runs worse.
Yeah, but like the game, yes, the game with the DLC runs. I don't know if they're trying to do more with it without
No, they're
trying to fix it up. I don't know, but somehow
No,
like,
it's not. It's just not.
the frame rate's got
good.
lower.
Yeah, it's just not. It's just they just haven't done a good job, man. That's just really what it is.
It's a shame to see.
Yeah, it's super, especially like the teal mask, man, because it's like there's some good stuff in there, but it's hard to even want to get like hyped to play it unless you're really into like the competitive aspect. If you're really into the competitive aspect, you could probably just whatever, like just play its turn-based battles. But if you're not, then it's just kind of like a slog for anybody else.
In the battles, the performance wasn't as bad, but it was just in the open world. And if you invited people into your game, good luck. It was ugly. So
yeah, like that's the people that like play like the Poketubers out there and all that. Like they all say the same thing. Oh man, this run's terrible and all that. But then they love like the competitive aspects because nobody, well, maybe what's the face? Those people, Temtem. But for the most part, nobody really makes any Pokemon games that are at that like, competitive level. Like there are some, but they're very small in comparison. So that's the biggest problem. But everybody mentions it. Like it's just not. They've got to fix that up. They've got to get something with that,
Hey, there's always next year. They'll drop another one next year. We'll see how it goes.
Will they?
I don't know. I hope not.
I don't know.
Game Freak needs to. I feel like Game Freak needs to go away for a while and get it right, but they'll be back in 18 months with something. Here we are. There was some conversation about Game Freak being like forced to put the games out, and I think Game Freak likes money too, is what I'll say.
Yeah, they're not forced because based on how it works, they're allowed to kind of put their and like they work with the Pokemon company, so they're not forced, but there's always obviously pressure to get stuff out in timelines when you're making, cards and animes and all that.
They just make a lot. They're gonna put the game out, it's gonna sell 20 million copies, and they'll put the game out, it'll sell twice what Last of Us Part 2 did, and then they'll just move on. And it's like, how? Yeah. Oh, how?
Yeah, I mean, Last of Us Part 2.
I need everyone to understand. I need everyone to understand that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold more than what Last of Us Part 2, Horizon and God of War combined or something crazy. I need everyone to understand that.
It's just insane. Like whenever you see the numbers, they're just jaw-dropping to think like, wow, the worst Pokemon game will sell 5 times more than your favorite game.
It's crazy, but it's the power of Pokemon.
It's a different. It's hard to compare. If you start comparing that, then it's tough because Pokemon is like culturally like revolution, like it's completely different bracket when you look at like what it does. So it's hard to compare it to like something like The Last of Us, which is M-rated, as many people can't buy it. Even though it's like GTA, yes, people can buy that, but it's very different, right? GTA is an open world game with super cultural impact. Like games that have like an impact on culture, those games are always going to be like, Tetris, Minecraft, Pokemon. These type of games are always going to sell. They can be bad or good. They're going to sell like crazy,
So Scarlet and Violet, the quality wasn't there. I wonder how bad they could, how bad could it get, and then it stopped? Like, how much could they get away with, do you think, when it comes to these game releases just with the Pokemon name and still crack the 20 million market sales?
I think this is the limit.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong here, but the fact that they had to do patches to fix how terrible the frame rate was, and they weren't very good, but the fact that they released that patch that made less Pokemon in the open world and stuff.
Oh, right, yeah.
Maybe my standards are not correct, but I feel like this has got, if it's worse than this, people aren't going to buy it.
Here's the limit. When the actual battles start being to the point where those are crashing and all that. Like, I think that is probably the limit. Open world stuff, they can just not make an open world game. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can just make it not open world and just go back to something else, but it can still not run the best or still have bad graphics. But once the battles start getting to the point to where those are like crash and jack up, or there's all sorts of issues, and like it becomes to where your battling experience is so bad, like competitive and stuff like that, I think that's when people start just saying, okay, I'm not gonna buy it. But that'd be hard to mess up that. It's turn-based battles.
Let me go over to some of the super chats here. Noah says, since racing is considered a sport, would Mario Kart be considered a Mario Sports title?
No.
There's be racing. It's because we have the category, right? Sports racing at the Game Awards. So.
Right. Somebody said that same joke like 3 years ago. I remember it.
Brent says, what's the best preventative maintenance you'd suggest for a working original PS1? I have no problem opening it up, but no experience with soldering. I mean, the only thing you need to worry about on those moving parts is the laser, right?
Yeah, laser, the disc motor as well, though.
Yeah, it's all one piece. You can, as MEG says, you can swap it out.
If they still make that whole tray, just go with it.
They do.
The only other thing potentially could be the power supply, but like they don't have leaky caps in general, PlayStation power supplies, but things do get crusty over time. But honestly, other than a laser swap, you're probably going to be good for like my original PS1 is still going strong. I have no issues with it.
PS1's an easy system to work on too. It's minimal screws technically to get inside, and as I mentioned, no real moving parts when it comes to a fan or thermal compound changing, nothing like that. So that was a fun generation to work on. That's usually when I recommend people even start with. This is from EJ, who says there's a new dispensary near me called NG. Is that what Nintendo is dealing for the next console? This is from Solicit, says, just picked up a PS5. I have a Series X for a third party, but besides the obvious God of War, Spider-Man, etc., what exclusive should I check out? Returnal.
Returnal and
Returnal's
Ratchet.
a good one. Ratchet. I still like, I mean, Final Fantasy 16 is still good. Yeah, but Ratchet's fun, and honestly, that might be the case where you do subscribe to PlayStation Plus Extra and just go through Ratchet and all those titles that are already in there. And I still think anyone who gets a PS5 now should just try Death Stranding. Just give it a shot. It's a different kind of game. You might hate it, then you're out. But I think it's something that people should try just because of how unique it is. That's all. X-Trash Lost to King Nintendo says, moving into my first apartment at 24. Wish me luck. I'm out of my mom's basement, OJ. Won't be trolling as much to save money. MVG, get to work on the Parasite Eve carbon engine port. Much love, cast.
I'm on it.
All right, hell yeah. Hey, that's the first step out of that mom's basement. Now you can probably go on a couple dates. You know what I'm saying? So good. Good stuff.
Dr. Strange says, first Bungie takes away my Last of Us factions, then they call me my people. Latin will say, I have a personal vendetta against Bungie now.
It was very tone deaf. Very weird.
X-Trash Lost to King Nintendo says, one more to ask, who's all picking up Star Ocean 2? I am. I'm picking up day one. Yes. I played the demo. Very good game. I recommend people try it out. It's a very I like the art style. The art style is kind of cool. So I think it's
opens the door to a lot of PS1 RPGs that are just stuck on that system from Square Enix. Like Xenogears, for example. That would be a great remake.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a good one. I would like to see Xenogears.
Fix it, because there's some issues with it.
Sean says, finishing Starfield after over 100 hours, my game of the year. Darth says, MVG, do you think you could take on a kangaroo?
No, I get fucked up. I would get messed up.
Have you tried?
No.
They got those talons. You ever see one of those things flex? Like, Jesus.
Oh, man. Cersei Julia says, I'm still enjoying Starfield, kind of want to take it on the go, so I'm going to kick it out to the cast crew. ROG Ally or Steam Deck, which one do you recommend? Thanks in advance. For Starfield, I had actually really good success with the ROG Ally for that, so I would recommend that. And also, the ROG Ally technically has access to Game Pass, so if you're signed up there, you can just download Starfield, and it has Xbox Play Anywhere, so I would play it on my Xbox, and then the save file would transfer over to my ROG Ally in the cloud. So it's a pretty cool experience, but it runs pretty well there. That's where I'd recommend it. This is from T. Joe says, why can't certain studios like Naughty Dog and Epic make more than one game at once? Like, where's my Jack 5 or my Unreal Tournament 4? The reason for there being no Jack is I believe Sony looks at that and just doesn't see sales potential in it, to be honest. Just putting that out there. I think that's why. But after hearing what Activision goes through every year for Call of Duty, it's a wonder any of these games get out, even with 2,000 developers behind some of these things. So that's pretty much why. MVG, you played Assassin's Creed.
Yes, I played Mirage.
I played Assassin's Creed. Sean played what he described as Aladdin, but I believe it was Assassin's Creed. Max, you played Assassin's Creed.
Played the hell out of it.
Okay. Did OJ or Evan play Assassin's Creed?
No.
Mirage. Okay. Okay.
Not me. Not Assassin's Creed. I hate that franchise.
Assassin's Creed Mirage. Oh man, you just hurt MVG. That hurt.
You hit me
I
right
mean,
here.
it's just I watched the gameplay. The AI is Assassin's Ubisoft AI. The gameplay is Ubisoft. Everything's so Ubisoft.
I do want to say real quick to start things off, I think this is the Assassin's Creed for people that don't like Assassin's Creed. I love it. I'm like so burned on the series.
The current one?
I
like
it.
the current
It plays
series.
like Assassin's Creed. It plays like Assassin's Creed.
But the fact that you can actually stealth kill people again and stuff, I'm so glad. My biggest thing that I love, I'm glad they did away with the leveling system so that I could just actually do what I want. There wasn't like parts of the map where people are too high level. I like that I could just get a camel and ride out in the desert and do some quests. I loved that.
If you like the old, like if you like Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, those Assassin's Creed, then this is your game. That's what I've seen from the gameplay that I've watched. I do not like Assassin's Creed 1 or 2, and I've played and beat both of those.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I do not like Assassin's Creed games. So that's the reason why I was like, I'm just gonna pass. But it's good for those who like the old school. Hell yeah, man, get into it, love it. You know, it's all good.
I'm almost 15 hours in. MVG said you're coming up on the 10-hour mark soon.
Yep.
I'm not sure how much you got a chance to play, Sean.
I'm about 5 or so in.
Oh, okay, cool. Good stuff then. Good. So you've basically seen the premise of the game, the concepts, the gameplay that they throw at you. Okay, cool. So you have an idea with it. Well, this game is a smaller version technically of what we know with Assassin's Creed since Origins, where they made the big move over to it being, a fairly deep RPG. And we, of course, see Assassin's Creed Valhalla. MVG has described it as a 60 to 80-hour game to me. Just described it to me because I gave up as I went through. It was just, I was like, I'm out. But I'm enjoying Assassin's Creed Mirage more than I thought I would. So, MVG, what do you think of it so far?
Well, as someone who is a big Assassin's Creed fan, I love them all. Even the janky, games of like the late 2000s. I love every single Assassin's Creed game. There's something really, really special about those games for me. Whether that be the gameplay mechanics, even kind of wrapped up with the historical aspect of the game and all that. I just love everything about it. So Mirage for me is fantastic. I really, really like it. So Valhalla was the last game, obviously, and that was a slog, right? Like it took me 65 hours to beat the main quest line. And I think in general, you're playing about 100 hours of that game, right? I like Valhalla, but I could definitely get that, that open world fatigue, right? I mean, if you want to talk open world fatigue, Valhalla is the kind of the blueprint for an open world fatigue game. But with Mirage, obviously they've compressed it down. They've made it a little more bite-sized. I think that sweet spot of that, 15 to 20 hour main quest line. And then you've still got a lot of side quests and stuff. I mean, this game can really keep you going for a while. It's definitely not a small game. It's just a small game compared to like Valhalla was. But, and I think they've done such a really good job on focusing on what made Assassin's Creed such a special and unique and really great franchise all over again. I don't know if I compare it to the early days of AC1 and 2, because if you go back and play those games, yeah, they're good, but they're also very, very dated as well. Mm-hmm. But I do love what they've done with Mirage. They've really just kind of peeled off all the layers and just kind of reconstructed it to the kind of foundations and the core of what makes Assassin's Creed games so good. And I also want to say that the fact that they've gone to a smaller game I think has really worked in Ubisoft's favor, because remember how buggy, the Assassin's Creed games would ship on day one? Like, they were all just busted. Like, ever since like Unity came out, they were just broken. They never worked properly. There was all sorts of, glitches and stuff, and they fixed them over time. But you guys, you tell me, but in my experience, I've had 0 crashes with the game. It runs, I'm playing on PS5, it runs like butter. And it feels really good. You can tell this game's been polished. And I think that's a good thing that Ubisoft has done, where they've kind of taken a look at the Assassin's Creed franchise and said, look, we want to kind of reinvigorate this franchise all over again. So how do we do it? We can't just do another mammoth, Valhalla game, because again, that's I think that style of game right now is something that's going to not happen anymore. I think what they're going to do is pivot to these kind of smaller Assassin's Creed releases going forward. And I think it's a really good, I think it's a great game, and I think it's definitely what the franchise needed at this time. And the price is very, very good too. It's a cheaper price. It's more of a budget title. So I think people that that liked Assassin's Creed and haven't really been into it in recent times, you may want to check this one out, because this is definitely a return to form.
It reminds me a lot of Assassin's Creed 1 in general. And it does make you feel lots, like I feel stronger in this game than I did for the vast majority of Valhalla. And a lot of that had to do with the leveling system. And you have to be a certain level to do certain assassination stuff. In this game, if you catch them by surprise, you just shiv them and keep going, and that's it. They're just done. You get like the chain assassinations as you work down the skill tree. You can also level up your bird, or eagle that flies around and stuff, which is fine. Yeah. So they have simplified a lot of that. And then you do have the upgrades for your weapons and your armor. So there is still progression. But I will say, as I'm going through and I'm getting these side quests, I'm starting to realize that a lot of the side quests are very similar.
Oh, yeah.
It does. So the fatigue will kind of set in as you go, but the thing that I will give them credit for is the fatigue has started to set in, but I'm also looking very close to the finish line when it comes to the main plot, the main story. So I've kind of worked a bit away from the side missions, and now I'm just like, I'm gonna finish this game now. I'm just gonna roll through and get it done, because I feel strong enough. They did, because Ubisoft sent the code for this one to me. I have the Prince of Persia stuff. Did you get all that?
I did, yeah. I got a review code from Ubisoft last week.
I used that immediately. It's really cool.
What is it? I got it, but I didn't. Where do I get it? Is it like in the costumes menu?
It should be in your inventory. It should be. Yeah, that's where I found it. It's told me I had all this stuff, and I went and looked. So you get the dagger, the prince's dagger. You get the sword, and then you also get like a trinket. And all of it, as you're running around and stuff, has like this sand effect on your back, and sand falls out of it, like glowing sand. But when you block with the dagger, it slows time, like the sand's time. And then if you kill someone with the sword, it'll refill parts of your health.
Oh, hell yeah.
So yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I just like the look of it. It's a glowing blue sword, so it's kind of neat. And you also get the prince's outfit, so you can be decked out and it looks like Prince of Persia. So I like that. I thought it was fun. I don't really care much for the story, the main character. I feel like if I was into Valhalla, I'd care more about Basim's story. I don't really care. So I'm just kind of going through, and the assassinations are fun. The plot has kind of lost me a bit. I don't really follow it much. It seems to intertwine a bit with Valhalla and all that. That's fine, but
I like it. I mean, it's I mean, when we're talking about Assassin's Creed games, there are other ones that come to mind that have a far better storyline. This one's okay. I did like that first mission, that rescue mission that you do in the prison. That really got me excited the game, because it wasn't just a run to this waypoint. It's like you're literally in this prison, you're running around, and you're completely lost. You don't even know where you're going. Like, you can see where you're supposed to be going, but there's no like waypoint or anything telling you how to get there. And I really, really enjoyed that. And that was something that really connected with me. And I think the story is pretty good overall. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not up there with some of the best Assassin's Creed games. I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went into this with expectations of it's going to be a smaller side game, and that's kind of it. So my expectations were already really like kind of lower when I went into this, and it's basically met them. So if this right here was their big Assassin's Creed game next year, that they're like, this is it, I'd have questions. Then I'd be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But it's not. It's like I guess just the side project, the Lost Legacy, whatever, what have you. And next year, I believe they're going to Japan, so that'll be interesting. But for now, it's a fun little game to play. I understand some people probably wait for it to go on sale, and I think if you see it go half price or something early next year, I think it's an easy pickup. So
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm with it.
I reviewed it. It took me about 18 hours to beat the main campaign, and I did another like 6 or 7 hours of pure side stuff. I did a big review. I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10. I feel like I liked it a lot more than a lot of the reviewers. A lot of people were saying it feels dated, and to me, that's what I liked. Is that I love my favorite 2 Assassin's Creeds are Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2, and this feels so much like a remake of Assassin's Creed 1. I was like, yeah. Basim is not a very deep character, but I kind of like the idea of a street thief who kind of just forces his way to the assassins and is badass at it. Very cliche story, but I don't know. I really kind of enjoyed a classic old school style game being made.
Yeah,
I don't get the take that it feels dated. Honestly, like
Right?
I mean, you know, you can say yeah, it kind of reminds you of the early AC games, but it doesn't mean this game is dated in any way. I feel like people just expect certain things from Assassin's Creed, and maybe, you know, a lot of those things were kind of stripped away in this version, so maybe that is the consensus. But overall, I think the game is actually quite refreshing. I think it's a really good take on Assassin's Creed, and I hopefully they'll keep making more of these. You know, hopefully this is not just a stepping stone or a stopgap or something like that. Hopefully there's like another team that's making these kind of smaller adventures, because I'd definitely like to see them in the future.
Did any of you play it on Xbox?
I played it on PS5.
PS5.
I'm playing it on PS5 right now.
Was there screen tearing?
Oh, no.
Async issues?
No screen tearing that I noticed when I'm playing it here. Is that something you're noticing on the Xbox?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's maybe a setting or my TV or something, but I don't see why it would be. But I did notice some screen tearing, like when you shift the camera from side to side in like a fast manner. There's definitely some VSync issues.
What'd you think of the game, Sean?
I like it. It's fun. It's definitely a throwback to older Assassin's Creed games. You know, it's a $50 game, so don't go in expecting all the bells and whistles. And if you like stealth games, it's definitely a stealth game. It does feel a little bit. Oh, so Jaron Miller had that too, but he restarted. You know what? That might be it, because I'm doing quick resume. So, yeah, let me try that.
Just some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah, quick resume, like it's a blessing, but it's a curse. But no, it's, you know, it's pretty good. You know, I've been enjoying it.
Let me go over to the Spawncast Network. Some people did have a few questions they dropped in. Where this one was from Matendu, says, how close would you say it feels to the older Assassin's Creed, like the Xbox 360, PS3 generation? So they've been let down by a recent Assassin's Creed.
No, if that's the style that they like, you know, the first
jump on
2 games, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty much in that same style.
Aomine asked about the iOS version. We don't actually have that. It's not out till the beginning of next year. I am very interested in that and how it'll run on the iPhone, because that could be one of those games that kind of, I don't want to say blows minds, but it is kind of it's a open world style game. And I have seen the Assassin's Creed game for phones, because that the video leaked out for that, and it was not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a smaller phone kind of Assassin's Creed. It looks like a regular, like, Assassin's Creed console version of it. So that'll be an interesting one to see how the iPhone handles it.
Why are we talking about playing games on our phones, John? Come on.
Hey, Apple's making the push. Apple's going for it. Hey, in 30 years, we'll all be playing on phones in the cloud.
Boo.
There you go. Blake says, in the context of all the quality releases that have come this year and the volume in October itself, in your opinion, is Assassin's Creed worth your time and or money?
Yes.
Yes.
In my opinion.
I feel like if you're a big Assassin's Creed fan like MVG, yes. But to be real, if you can only buy one game in October, I'm waiting until next year for Assassin's Creed. It's like you got to pick Assassin's Creed, Spider-Man, Alan Wake 2, Mario Wonder, I mean, yeah, I'd probably Assassin's Creed's probably going on the back burner for me. That's me.
Also, let's face it, it's something that something OJ's talked about in the past. Other people have brought up. Ubisoft games go on sale so quick. So if you have the patience, you'll get this for like
Sonic Superstars as well. Sorry, Sonic fans.
Oh yeah,
$20. You're gonna get this game for $20.
It'll be $30 Black Friday. Probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get it on sale, yeah, probably in a couple months it'll be on sale. But I mean, if it does fall to like $25-$30, I think it's a good pick up there even. So I mean,
I might try it out at that price. I think I got a review code, but I never responded to him, so I think I'll buy it at that price. Maybe, who knows?
Zoob did ask, shifting away from warrior gameplay, so like Odyssey and Valhalla, back to assassin gameplay. What the series known for, pros and cons. I think I actually feel more powerful in this game than I did in the others. So that's something I like. I mean, you were just assassinating left and right if you want to. And I tried to play this game very stealthy, but there were times where things just broke out, chaos ensued, and I fought off like 20 different people. So you can kind of play it either way, but I will say when that broke out, MVG, it's because I tried to assassinate somebody, but they have the assassination button the same as the attack button.
Yeah.
And I just punched the dude in the face instead of stabbing him. So
a few times.
I
just roll with it though.
Yeah. I do I do like this, but I feel like if it was this, if they went this path and it was this every single time, in like 4 releases, I'd be like, man, I kind of want the RPG one back.
Right.
So I don't know. It's that situation of you haven't had it in so long, and like in terms of a gameplay type like this, now it feels cool, and then you'll get bored of it and then want the old style again. And then I saw the Discord question that I picked out from Zoob, who says, how do you prefer to play Ubified formula games? So do you like to do the assassin stealth, the warrior combat, the sniper long range, or the trickster gadgets?
I kind of mix it up, honestly. Like, I don't like to kind of tie myself into one, so I'll just kind of experiment.
Okay.
With different
Also
stuff.
depends on what the game is.
Right. I feel like I go in thinking I'm going to sneak around and be all stealthy, and then it never works out that way in the long run.
You just kill everyone.
Yeah, I just end up just wiping everyone out, like, running in like a warrior.
I like to go very hidden blade. I think it's cool to kill the least amount possible. It's cool when you're like 2 steps behind a guard that's patrolling and then you go down a side path. Especially this game has really good AI, I think, for the stealth. Like, I feel like it's so fun to dodge the guards, especially in that prison one where there's like the laundry room and the curtains. If you actually stand behind the curtains as they blow, they won't see you. It's like, man, they really did that great.
Yeah, but then there are times where I just walk up to a guy and just stab him, and it's just yeah, he didn't see me. Why didn't you see me?
It's they don't have glasses back here.
Yeah. I will go back to some of the super chats here, but Evan, would you like to tell us about an invitation you got?
Well,
took a shocking one.
I didn't
one that
get
came out
it.
of nowhere.
Yeah. No, I
Okay,
mean,
well,
there's
Evan,
really
Evan stealthed his way into this. I don't know, what is this? What is happening with this? It's gigantic. What's going on here?
gigantic. I don't even know. So there's issues. I don't know why they did this. I still don't know why they did this. I guess Thursday, Friday, they did a quick test of the gigantic online stuff only to invited guests. A lot of the people from back in the day when we did it for Twitch streaming and all that got invites, but I didn't get one. I had to get one from someone who played 0 hours of the game who got an invite somehow. I don't understand. But it's being, I guess, reworked by Gearbox, but that's kind of where I guess a little sadness comes from, because what was the last thing we reported on Gearbox was that Embracer was looking to sell them. So like, don't know what's going on there. It was a fun return, but I feel like it's going to be bittersweet, man. I feel like it might actually just be the last time I actually got to play it.
Well, why did they do it then? I figured this was them just testing it, being like, could we bring this back?
This could be a Hail Mary for them. Is just I imagine they wanted to try to figure out why matchmaking was borked in that game, because near the end, matchmaking sucked. There was forum posts all the time about, if you see 2.5 minutes, leave matchmaking, come back in because it's broken. It's not actually looking for matches. And I feel like that was the way on Thursday, and then Friday that went away. I was just getting games all the time without issue. So I don't know if they're just trying to work out some back end issues.
For people wondering in the chat, what is gigantic?
I mean, I guess I can. Hopefully the video here. There we go.
I want to know what is. I didn't even know what it is.
The
Is that a
videos,
game or a
videos,
brand?
well, the video's playing right now from this isn't the video, by the way, from the event, because that's DMCA. They didn't want anyone to see this. So this is from before the shutdown. It's 5-on-5 arena-based third-person action games. This was from when I played in tournaments when it was being released. And it's the community was great. There was so much fun to be had in this game. This is just a wild experience. This was originally being made by Microsoft for the Xbox One. It was supposed to push the Microsoft Xbox One mechanics, its hardware and everything. But then it like kept having issues with like a lot of PC side stuff, and not a lot of people were interested in the Xbox One side of it. This was back when 8 gigs of RAM was normal. This required 12, and that's 12 free. Not
okay.
So like this was ridiculous. And now that we're in a world of like, oh, I have 32, it's no problem. Like now they're trying to test it out. But yeah, so Matiga got dropped from Xbox. They sold them to Perfect World. Perfect World usually buys IPs and then tries to see if it makes money in a half year. If it doesn't, they shut down the company. So they did that. And then this game just sat in Perfect World's pocket for a while until I guess they had problems, and then it went back over to Embracer, because Embracer is buying everything up, but now Embracer's having their own issues, so who knows what the hell's going to happen.
I'm still confused why they ran what amounted to a weekend beta for it, basically.
No clue. And it's one of those things where it was like no hype. I don't know. Like, I don't know why they did it outside of just testing.
We got news for it because somebody got the email and just posted it on Twitter and was like, okay, why am I getting a gigantic invitation?
I woke up that morning and my buddy was like, do you want this? I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't think it was a real email.
Interesting. So you said this is with Gearbox now.
Gearbox has it now, yes.
Okay, it's bounced around apparently all over the place.
I think some of the people from Motiga, when they liquidated, went to Gearbox. Not a ton of them, but at least a few people. So, and it's different. Like, they actually did back-end things. The menus changed, the flow of how to get into games is different. They've actually adjusted maps, changed gameplay modes completely. So they're doing work to it. I just don't know what the hell this is.
Okay. Good stuff. Gigantic. We'll keep an eye out to see if it actually is coming back or if Evan just got to play it again for the last time.
The last time.
Real quick though, I got to bounce, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, AJ.
I will be watching. But thanks for having me on though. I appreciate it, guys.
Catch you later, AJ.
Take it easy.
Let's see. This is from Nolan, who says, I tried to play Splatoon 1 the other day and couldn't get into a match after a few tries. To me, that shows why they're going down. Yeah, I feel like the Wii U has a limited audience right now, but the 3DS is the one I think I feel like people are more concerned about that. I don't know, maybe not, but I feel like with the Pokemon games there, that probably had more of a population playing it. Carflow says, what are some games that use Series X power great? Is it Series X power well? That uses the Series X power.
Forza?
What?
Yeah, I guess it would be Forza, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that I would do Doom Eternal. That looks great on the Series
Yep.
X. Yeah.
Didn't they do one of the Gears of War 5? They made it run at like 120 FPS, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I honestly, if you want to see what games use the power well, and you have 120 hertz display, a lot of those games that support 120, which also can be Xbox One games because they did FPS boost for many of them, that shows what the Xbox Series can do. That makes it a lot different than the Xbox One and the One X at that time. But definitely the Gears games, those are going to look really good on the Xbox Series.
I also want to add Flight Simulator as well.
Yay.
I don't know why you're laughing at me.
I said games.
Game looks incredible.
Dwayne says, what happened to karma systems in video games? Infamous, Fable, Red Dead Redemption. I'm imagining Jedi.
Didn't Tommy Tallarico patent the karma engine or something?
Mm-hmm.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No, he said he did.
Oh gosh, I'm imagining Jedi Fallen Order karma system would be amazing. More games doing choice systems instead, it seems. Well, in the older Star Wars games, you would actually choose if you're going to be good or bad as you play through it, depending on what you did in the game and then your force powers you chose. So the Jedi Knight or Dark Force 2 Jedi Knight, the game that Sean wants to play, but there is no good way to play it right now. That is a game that had that, depending on the force powers you chose. And if you were like killing innocent people with your lightsaber, your Kyle Katarn would slowly get more and more evil. And there would be an entire separate ending for it. And that was really cool, right? To have that. And you'd have it with more aesthetic kind of karma stuff, like in Metal Gear Solid 5, where your horn will get bigger. If you the more people you kill and stuff. But yeah, those were the days. I don't know. Maybe we'll see a game come up soon that uses that. Maybe the next level of it. Liam says, I hope they re-release old Smash games someday.
No,
I don't know how likely that is with a lot of the licensing around those kids. These games are such like a one-off thing because of all the licensing.
But do you think that the original Smash Brothers will end up on NSO at some point?
You figure, right?
Because it's all. Right? I mean, it's all first
theirs.
Party. Yeah.
Melee's the one I don't know. Melee, you get into that and it's like, maybe. But although I don't know, does Nintendo want that alongside of Ultimate? I feel like they want everyone playing Ultimate.
I mean, why not? Especially if they're selling it. I don't know. That's kind of my thing, is that if the numbers are low on Ultimate and they sell Melee for $40, I'd probably buy it, and I haven't played Ultimate in years.
Which online would be better, Ultimate or Smash Brothers N64 through NSL?
Oh God, right.
Probably about the same.
About the same.
Oh God, I hope not.
This is from T-Joe says, I get it, MVG, but I feel like the industry needs to do better at game preservations themselves. It's sad that they're not willing to do that.
Hey, I totally agree with you. And it all starts with hardware makers and publishers. You've got people like Phil Spencer saying, I want to help, I want to do this, I want to do that, but nothing has happened. So it all starts with hardware makers and publishers. If they can get on board and figure out all this licensing bullshit, maybe we can come to some type of agreement and start moving forward. But until that happens, it's all emulators and ROMs.
I want to give a big shout out to Corey McIntyre, who I've got to know through the after show with Sean. Corey McIntyre pulling up here with a really cool looking animation sticker and the $50 super chat. So big shout out to Corey McIntyre. Sean, I meant to ask you, you're getting Forza this week on Game Pass?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll have the experience with the wheel, the whole setup, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to save the Forza discussion for next weekend so that you can tell us about how the wheel is and all of that, and what your thoughts are on it.
Give me just 1 second here.
Okay, yeah.
Is that good? That's good. Okay, good. I will say Forza Motorsport does not work on the Steam Deck. Okay, and I got a response from Microsoft over this. They have not done support for the Steam Deck. They've just said they have not optimized or opted to have it set up for the Steam Deck, but they are looking for feedback from the community if people want to have it on the Steam Deck. So I just wanted to put that out there. Apparently they're looking for something from people saying that, yes, I would like to play it there. I don't know how you convey that to them on social media or wherever, but that's the response I got back. So
did you try it on the ROG?
No, my ROG's actually broken. I need to fix it.
How did you break it?
It's a defect that happens with the left stick. This one, left and right does not work. So I have to open it and manually reset the pin in there. I've not gotten around to it. Yeah, I know. That's what I said when I was like, So that's a thing. And I managed to research and track that down. And this is something that people are doing now. They're either replacing the stick, which you can buy replacements, or they're just popping the back off the stick and popping the pin back into place. So it's that. And then it's the SD card that apparently ejects itself if it gets too hot. Those are the two defects with the thing.
I've had none of these problems, and I play a lot of shit on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first issue I've had with it. I played Starfield quite a bit on it when I was like trying to get through the game. So I don't know. Unlucky, maybe. Hard to say, but I'll fix it and go through it. But yeah, so looking for Steam Deck support on that. But I will fix the ROG Ally and I will play it on their Forza before next weekend. Otherwise, I played it on PC here and it ran fine. 100 some odd frames through G-Sync, and it looks really, really good on PC. But Nate spent the most time with it. He had the Xbox code. So that is on the Direct Xbox podcast. He went over it. This is from Emperor says, let's be real and let's be really real. People need to keep that same energy if this game makes resurgence like with Cyberpunk 2077. If they end up fixing this game up 3 years later and have a 2.0 moment, it's never too late.
What are you talking about?
Are you talking about Redfall?
It's going to be about Redfall.
Okay, so this is something I've seen come up with Redfall because now they have the 60 FPS patch. They have some extra things added in, whether it's AI, enemy density, all of that. They have talked about Redfall being supported for a while. They have DLC that they have promised and has to come out because I think it was part of the
character DLC.
Fight Back edition. Yeah. So they are doing that. Is this a game that they should just move on from afterwards, or should they actually try to make a run at this? Support it for 5, 6, 7 years?
No, God, no.
I mean, the play is going to be they put out what they promised, and then they move on. And then if they check numbers one day and some streamer somewhere talked about it, and there's 1 million people playing it, then take a look at it and think about it.
Evan's right. I mean, you settle your affairs, you make you fulfill your commitments, which is what they've done. But yeah, I don't expect that this game will survive. I mean, it'll be on Game Pass forever, right? It'll be there till the end of Game Pass, that game Redfall, but beyond some minor updates, I don't really expect to see much more.
G-Man asks, which of you deserve a first look of the Switch 2 more? I'm gonna say Evan. All right. Here's why.
Because I don't give a shit, and if I like it, you'll like it.
He doesn't like the Switch, really. He doesn't use it much. So if he likes the Switch 2, that means it must be the most incredible piece of technology ever crafted by man. So
yeah, you want the person who probably won't like it to say one way or the other. Because if you're just asking a person who's going to be hyped about it regardless, you're not going to get a real answer.
There you go.
I want Sean to get it because Sean does 8 million videos, and it's like they definitely have the Nintendo Switch 2 now, and he's in the thumbnail going like this. I want to see him be like, I have the first Nintendo Switch 2, and his face is melting.
He just needs to get it. He just needs to get it 3D printed and just fake everyone out.
That's what Etika did.
With the Switch
Etiquette did that.
Just fake everyone out with it. You should do that, Sean.
I don't have a 3D printer.
Oh, you can find somebody to do it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Good investment.
Imagine Sean with a 3D printer. Dude, you do some crazy stuff with that.
I wouldn't even know how to use it.
Make those figures.
Oh yeah, dude, you can make those wrestling figures.
I don't need to. I got them all.
Did Royal Mail ever figure it out with you?
No, it's still sitting.
Are you serious? What's the tracking say on that?
It's sitting in the place that it's been since 9/11.
It's still, dude. That was almost a month ago. Jeez.
Yep. Well, I told you I had a guy tell me he ordered something for himself in November for Christmas from England, and it showed up in April.
My God, no way! My God.
Yeah. He said it was Royal Mail. Royal Mail is fucking the shit.
Wow.
Boy, the Queen's dead. We got to throw half this mail in the garbage.
Did it make it to U.S. soil yet? And it's just in New York or something, just sitting there?
It is sitting in the place that it was dropped off at.
Oh my gosh.
I've already rebought them though.
Well.
Which was not cheap, but whatever.
But the new one, but if those show up, you can just sell them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
But dropped off at the fish and chip shop that's also a postage outlet over there.
It's fuck. I mean, there's literally like news articles about the place.
I about to say news articles about your figures.
No, like if you try to go down there, there's like lines around the building, and like people haven't got people in that, like people who's, you know how like you have a post office for your town, so consider it like that. The people at that
district, basically.
In that district haven't gotten mail for like 2 weeks, like normal mail.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a fucking shit show.
This is from Ace, who says Final Fantasy IX prequel looks like your Zidane, but turns out to be Kuja origin story. Let's will this into existence. DGG, would you love this or what?
Dude, yes. I've always loved Kuja ever since back in the day because it's so interesting. Like, I don't know. I love Final Fantasy, but I'm most interested in the Final Fantasies where the bad guys kind of win. Like Kuja wins, or Kefka. Kefka destroys the world. He wins in a way. I would love a Kuja prequel story.
Jorge says fans said that Scarlet and Violet's visuals and performance wasn't great, but everything else was some of the best Pokemon in a long time. Let me think. Was it? I don't. You hear about the open world concept. Sounds good in practice. Game Freak has a long way to go to make that work. I still think, even if this game ran flawlessly, I think there would still be stuff to look at. Whether it's an open world that is kind of empty at times, right? Or them still kind of working the formulaic nature into the open world where you basically go point by point by point, and it's still just going to the different gyms or basically going to locations, fighting different Pokemon, and then just kind of getting what's basically a badge, but it's not called a badge. And I think they still have a lot to figure out with the storytelling aspect and trying to make it feel like more of an adventure rather than a checklist. So I feel like at least they're on the right track. I'll say that. But
I think I like the fact that it never paused. I kind of like the fact that you would see a Pokemon and you'd walk up to his bitch ass and just throw a Pokemon and it directly appeared. That was like the cool thing to me. I clean everything else up, but that's so good. I'm like, keep this forever. I'm happy.
I think they build on it as they go forward, yes, because then Jorge asks, if you were in control of Pokemon, how would you maintain steady revenue during years of no mainline games? I would sell merchandise.
Yeah, right.
It's not like they're hurting for money or anything. Like, I don't know. It just there's a lack of standards when it comes to Pokemon games.
It's going to take them to start hurting for money to probably change that, but
right, which I don't think
it's not happening. It's just
it's not going to happen. So there's no incentive. Just like we said with the performance patch, when people were saying there was going to be a performance patch, there's no incentive. You make the DLC, you give a little statement, we're going to try to fix it, and then you move on to the next thing. You've already sold the game to people. You don't, unless the next game sells half of what Scarlet and Violet did, which is not going to be the case more than likely, there's no incentive.
MTS says a lot of the talk around Mirage is about the enemy AI. What was everyone's experience? I ran into some dumb AI and I murdered them relentlessly.
I tell you, I think they've done some work on the AI. For the most part, it's pretty good. There's definitely some occasions where it's dumb, like you said. But
yeah,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I mean, they'll like search for you. They'll kind of get together and try to like case a room basically and look through corners, and they'll do all of that. But then at times, like I said, you can catch them by surprise and they're dead before they know it, even if they look right at you. So the thing I did like though, kind of playing around the AI, I like that you go back into crowds of people.
Yep.
And you can kind of hide in there and catch them up. Like you could walk with the crowd, they'll go by you. You assassinate them with your dagger that goes into your wrist basically, and then you just keep walking with them, and people can't figure it out. Or like, how did that happen? So yeah, there are some really cool moments in that game.
Blade in the crowd. They call it Blade in the crowd. I love that so much.
Yep. It is a pretty cool when you get that just right with assassination across like 3 different people very, very quickly. It's a pretty cool feeling. So. JT says, thanks for the entertainment. Well, thanks for watching, JT. Trom Vita says, the Redfall update makes Cyberpunk 2.0 look embarrassingly bad. Redfall went from 10 out of 10 to 11 out of 10 with this update. Xbox first party excellence.
Let him know.
That's a take.
Rovita says, phone game I played 8th year Gazer with Razor Kishi. It's fun. Okay. Jesse says, can you comment on Game Pass and how it relates to Netflix's newfound instability? I think we still compare Netflix and Game Pass together, so specifically Xbox and what they're trying to do with it. The only difference to me about Netflix and Game Pass is you can still buy stuff on Xbox's platform. You don't buy anything on Netflix. You just pay a monthly fee and access everything. So Microsoft still does a fair amount of commerce and sales outside of just the subscription service. So that's something that Netflix is going to struggle with because they don't have that. So
yeah,
that's, I think, still like Starfield. Look how many people are still playing that game in early access at $100 a piece. That game, according to analysts, is going to go on to make roughly $1 billion. So
well, it's also, I think the weird thing is that like stuff doesn't really come off Game Pass very often. Every Xbox game is going to stay on Game Pass forever. Where it's really weird that all these streaming services, Paramount Plus is always removing shows, and that's my favorite streaming. Netflix, like if they just take stuff off. So I think that's the weirdness, is that everything's always disappearing. So people don't stick around, whereas people do stick around for Game Pass because, all right, the games I like right now are going to stay here, and new stuff will show up.
RoboCop got the demo that dropped on PC. I know, Sean, you were interested in this game.
I'm very interested. I didn't play the demo because it's on PC. But I watched some gameplay videos, and I am fucking 100% in. 100% in.
I'm a little confused why it's just like they didn't drop a console demo on the Xbox. I thought that was coming. I thought they said, oh, it popped up on Steam. Okay, the Xbox, the PlayStation version is coming. Still nothing. It's very odd.
Yeah, maybe I'll play it tomorrow if the Giants piss me off or something and I don't want to watch the game. But no, that looks, especially as a fan of really all the movies, I liked even 3. I've watched the shitty ones, the direct-to-video ones. I watched the cartoon. I'm always a fan. I have Chalkline RoboCop shorts, for fuck's sakes.
Live action series was cool. I did like that.
Yeah. No, like they've done, like, there's going to be tons of people that don't understand it, and there's going to be people. I don't expect it to get decent reviews, but I think if you're a fan, it's kind of like what was that Terminator game where like it didn't get good reviews?
Resistance.
But yeah, I think that was it.
Terminator.
But, like,
yep. Mm-hmm.
But people,
PS4, right? Yeah.
Yep. But fans really dug it because they're like, oh shit, this is a really good Terminator game. And that's what this looks like. It looks like a really good RoboCop. Like there's even fucking, like it showed the starting scene where like RoboCop, he gets damaged and he sees his wife, and then like fucking there's like nuke all over the place. They go into an arcade and you could like take like the monitors and stuff and throw them at people, and then they'll get electrocuted from it, which doesn't even make sense because they're not plugged in anymore.
Yeah.
But like it looks so cool. Like I am very impressed because if you know anything about RoboCop video games, you had RoboCop the arcade game, which I think is pretty good. Obviously a product of the times, but it was good. RoboCop versus Terminator was also good, but all the other games fucking suck. They are terrible. The last RoboCop game we got was the one from Titus on the Xbox, which is literally one of the worst video games of all time. And I think
you didn't like the Ocean RoboCop games from back in the day, the side scrollers
on like the NES?
No, like on the Commodore 64 Amiga and stuff. They did like side scrolling RoboCop games.
Those are British consoles.
Yeah, I'm not British. I don't.
You should check them out.
Like RoboCop versus Terminator was dope, but it really wasn't a RoboCop game. But no, this looks great. I can't wait to play it. I loved all the references and stuff. I hope that the Game Boy game, the intro song somehow sneaks in there, because I don't know if you've ever heard that song.
I heard it today.
I know what it is. Yeah,
but like it's like a fucking love ballad for some reason, and like Gene Park made a joke about it. RoboCop 3 on Genesis was okay.
It was composed by Jonathan Dunn, who also did the Jurassic Park NES Ocean music and probably the Game Boy games as well.
No shit. I love the soundtrack in Jurassic Park for the NES. It's the only good part of the game. That's funny.
I did get a chance to play. I did actually play RoboCop though, Sean, on PC. I played it before we went live here. I gave it a good 30 or 40 minutes, just checking it out.
Do you like the movies?
Yeah. I mean, really, okay. Hold on. The newer PG-13 movie, I did not like as much.
I mean, I didn't either. It wasn't
okay.
Bad,
I didn't mind that one, but it wasn't.
I'm talking about really just the first two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have pants like you do with it, like, but I mean, I enjoyed it. They're good, but I always thought it would make a good video game, like something like we're seeing here. And the game on PC has it's like a stuttering issue. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on. It's the demo though, so I'm like, I just want to get in, see exactly what they're trying to do with this. The game is incredibly over the top though. as you would expect
Ultra violence
with the movie. Yes, with the
No,
with the
yeah,
yeah.
I've seen some fucking gore. That shit, fucking Mortal Kombat levels.
Yeah. So the first thing you do when you get in there, you get your pistol comes out off your hip, off the side, and you just take it. And the first thing you do is hit a guy with it, and his head just explodes, and like gore goes everywhere. It's the first guy, right? Super over the top. And so you just go through, you're just blasting everyone, annihilating them. And when you zoom in, like you do the down the sights view, you'll have these boxes go around the people and you're scanning them as RoboCop. And it feels like it's from the movie, which is really cool. But it can do a mode where you'll basically auto aim at them. So you'll just start pulling the trigger and just everyone's head is exploding. Their bodies are blowing into two pieces. And it is crazy looking, but it is over the top, like 80s, 90s action kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. So yes, you can I picked up the computer monitor. I chucked it at a guy. His body exploded when it hit him, electrocuting everywhere and all this. You also have the big punch as RoboCop. So you just punch somebody and they go flying across the room. You can pick them up and just hold them there and they'll look at you while you're holding them. And I took one guy, threw him into the wall, and the wall itself buckled and blew up into pieces too. So I think there's some destructible environment stuff here too, Sean. From what I can tell.
Guillerme in the chat says it's a CRT monitor, so it would hold an electric charge, and that's the kind of quality I expect.
The thing you should
RoboCop.
fear from those, I'm pretty sure, is that it's a vacuum, right? CRT have the vacuum things, and that just sucks your organs out into them.
No, I'm super stoked on that. It's only
I was getting
50
experience
as well.
I think it's. I don't think it's. Wait, hold on. It was on. I think it is 50. Yeah, it's 50 on Steam. So I assume
it comes out
that same price.
November 17th or 11th, one of those.
Something
Yeah,
like
it was supposed to already be out, but they delayed it.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
there was supposed to be a Switch version too.
Hey, whoa! I don't know what you're talking about. We just erased that completely.
Hey, that's fine. No, I'm super looking forward to that shit though. That's one of my more anticipated games for the rest of the year.
It's not a super what's the word? It is a $50 game is what I'll say. So there are parts in the game where you're like, okay, I see where the budget was kind of lowered here, whether it's some of the character animations, some of the visuals on things you're not supposed to focus on, that kind of thing. But I think for somebody who wants to just be RoboCop, blast through crime scenes, you're going to get a kick out of it. And as I was going through, I was picking stuff up, and there's definitely experience I'm gaining. There's an entire meter you're filling up, and there's supposed to be skill trees, all kinds of progression systems too. So,
I mean, it's really kind of a niche game, anyways.
Yeah, I also, the other thing I kind of noticed, and they should change this when the full release comes. I had to pick everything up for ammo and all of that. I had to look at the gun and press E to pick it up. I'd rather just run over it and get the ammo. So
yeah.
You played a little bit of MVG, or you had like stuttering issues too? It wasn't just me then.
I installed the demo. I had all these technical issues. I was able to get and play it for about 15-20 minutes. Dude, it was pretty rough on my machine, so I just kind of put it to the side. To answer your question, I think the reason why they probably did drop it on Steam first and not a demo everywhere else is for this exact reason. They want to basically identify all the issues that are going on and try to have them ready before the console versions launch. Because honestly, you can't release a console version in this state. It's just gonna end up like Payday 3 and stuff like that, right? So I'm very interested in this game too. I'm a RoboCop fan. I'm not as big as a RoboCop fan as Sean is, but I definitely like the movies. And I've played many of the older games from back in the day, including the British versions as well from Ocean. So yeah, I'm all in on this game. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Makes a good video game. I wish I had played. I keep talking about trying it. That Terminator game, the one that people talk about, the first-person shooter.
Yeah.
It's not even apparently a long game. People say that it's actually really well done, and that same team is working on this one. So
there you go.
I'd like to find time to do it.
For whatever reason, it's not rare, but it's very expensive on the PS4 to buy a physical copy of that game for some reason. I believe it got an update. So there's a PS4 version, there's a PS5 version. I think the PS4 version got an update to the PS5. So I don't really know why that one would be rare, but
is it available digitally?
It's both versions. Maybe I don't. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much is it?
I can find out.
That's based on a newer movie, though, right?
It's just total. It's in the universe. It's not based on a movie at all. And so I made a video a long time ago, and I made people mad. But I made a video talking about how I didn't like it, even as a Terminator fan, mostly because it is so dang short. It is like 3 hours, and it's very much like a shooting gallery. It almost feels like an arcade game. So it's cool. They have all the cool laser effects, sounds, and stuff. So the fact that they're working on RoboCop, I'm interested, but I'm a little bit hesitant.
It's going for about $60 on the PS4.
I see Terminator Resistance Enhanced Edition, the PS5 version, for $50 on their PlayStation Store.
$50?
Yeah.
For 3 hours?
Right.
It's basically a sequel and a prequel to the first Terminator movies.
Oh. There you go. I've just seen people talk pretty highly about it.
Fair though, I liked there was 2 Terminator 3 games that came out at for like Xbox and GameCube of all things, and like one of them is actually good. I can't remember what
do you say for the? It was for the GameCube. What was it?
There was 2 Terminator 3 games that came out. There was Rise of the Machines, which stunk, and then there was Terminator 3 Redemption, which was dope as fuck.
Redemption.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have. I was looking to see if I had those games. Interesting.
Terminator 3, I used to have it, but that's a super good game.
Okay.
But Rise of the Machines was stinky.
Interesting. Yeah, I like what I'm at least seeing initially from RoboCop. I'll probably get it on the Xbox or the PlayStation though, unless we hear that the PC port is better. But good stuff there. Good stuff. Not too long, a month or so from now. So, I do want to recognize Nandito Hernandez, the big $100 super chat, who says had trouble with the process last time, but hopefully it goes through this time. Truly appreciate that, Nandito Hernandez. Thank you for the support. And
the Terminator game is on. Oh, it's on Xbox too.
That's what. Okay, I was looking to see what other because I might have it. MBG sent me a bunch of Xbox games at one point, so I was just trying to look at it too.
Well, no. I'm talking about the new Terminator
Resistance.
Game. Oh no, yeah, the new one is on the Xbox and the PlayStation. Yes,
maybe that one's cheaper.
Might be. Oh, the PS5 version of Terminator game is limited run physical.
That's fucking bad.
Casual noob. Thank you, Casual Noob. Appreciate that.
I can get the complete edition from PlayAsia on the Xbox for $45.
It's not bad. Not bad.
You can get the collector's edition on the PS5 for $45 from PlayAsia.
Get it, play it. Tell me if it's your style.
Oh, it's only $40 digitally on the Xbox. Xbox always wins, baby.
I do want to quickly talk about a game coming up here soon, that being Spider-Man 2, because there was some conversation. I don't know how widespread this was, but I saw it pop up a lot, and that had to do with the length of time that this game takes to complete and then platinum. And one person who apparently got it early, I don't know if people get in these games early, but somehow they got it. They played through it. They said it took them 17 hours to beat the game, and they said it was about 30 hours or so to get the platinum trophy. And they say they generally go through them pretty quick, but these different games that seem to cause some, I don't know, just conversation in general, as in, should this game be longer than 17 hours, for example, to beat the main story? It's a $70 game. And it keeps coming back to the idea to me of the game length being artificially extended to meet a certain quota. As it's becoming very obvious that some games do this for padding. We've talked about Final Fantasy VII Remake at length for that situation. I saw this though, and I said, okay, that's about all right. It works. I think that's the same length as the first one.
It is, yeah.
I wasn't sure. I wanted to get people's take on that before I just skipped past it.
I did a video on it, and I read a bunch of tweets. I did a poll with my community, and it sounds like basically everybody was saying 17 to 20 hours for the main story, 35 hours to platinum. It seems pretty good. It does sound like there is some people that are wishing it was a little bit more, mostly because this is the first Sony first party game for the PlayStation 5. Like, we've had other games that were on PS5, but they were cross-gen. This is the first game by Sony completely built and designed for the PlayStation 5. I've heard some people say, like, I wish this $70 game was as long as possible, but I think 17, 20 hours, I think that's totally fine.
I think it's interesting to hear people's takes on this because on one hand, you know, we praise Insomniac for being a studio that has been, you know, the investment of the century, right, or the acquisition of the century, because every 2 years they bring out a new AAA game and it's of really good quality. But the side effect of that is their games, the length of their games may not be to the liking of some people out there. I personally think 17 hours is more than adequate for a game, but you can't really have it both ways. I mean, do you want to go the route of, hey, you know, we only hear from Insomniac, you know, maybe once or twice in the generation, and they bring out some like monster, you know, 40-hour campaign plus side missions, or do you get a 10, 15, maybe 20-hour experience every 2 years? I personally would rather have the every 2 years where they just keep making games, and whether the length isn't to the liking of people, I mean, I think they're just kind of trusting the process that they've built because it's been so successful for them for such a long time. So I think it's fine. You know, like if you want Insomniac games to come out every couple of years, then this is what you should expect.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that too. The idea of getting a 15 to 20 hour Spider-Man game, I mean, that's what 6 of their movies basically back to back to back in terms of length. So for that, I'm good. Like I said, I thought the first Spider-Man on the PS4 when they dropped that, I thought that was a good length for the game, and I think this is going to line up with that based on what they've said. And then the Platinum Trophy would be just going around doing all the extra little side missions or training exercises or catching pigeons, that kind of thing. So to me, this, I didn't even see an issue here. I just said, okay, cool, that sounds good. It really comes down to me is what you do in those 17 hours,
right?
As opposed to, okay, how long are we going to be doing this for? Because they could easily make you wander around in a sewer for 5 extra hours just to get to that 25-hour mark. So,
well, yeah, I definitely, one thing I saw a lot of people saying is the Mary Jane missions are by far the part that people hated the most in the original game.
Yep.
And even though there wasn't a lot of them, man, did they feel too long. It's like, man, I'll take a game that's an hour shorter if I don't have to do any missions where I'm walking around snapping pictures.
Yep. That's kind of how I'm thinking too, is just make the experience flow really nicely. Don't have too much downtime or things that feel like you don't need to necessarily be doing them, and just keep the pace strong. So hoping that's going to be the case here. And I mean, we're going to have reviews. Those go live in 2 weeks, right? Yeah, because the game's out the 20th. We should have it that week, like the 17th or 18th, I think, somewhere in there. So we'll see. We'll do our predictions for Spider-Man 2 Metacritic next weekend, actually. Let me go over here to Ruffle Mutt, who says, Pokemon, hire Monolith Soft already. Well, Monolith Soft's not going to make Pokemon for Game Freak. Game Freak's going to make Pokemon, so Monolith Soft needs to worry about the next Xenoblade or whatever they're making for the next system. That's what they got to worry about right now. Zoob says, why does open world fatigue affect a 100-hour save file of a Ubisoft game, but not racking up 500 hours of Bethesda Game Studios game? Well,
go
ahead, Max.
Go, John.
I was going to say...
You first.
I was going to say it's because Ubisoft feels like a list in map format, really is why. So it's there's a lot of saying, like when I do Far Cry, every base that I go to, when you're trying to clear them out, I know it's going to be a very similar thing every single time.
You know, if there was some type of like if someone misunderstood what I was saying about open world fatigue, it wasn't. I want to be clear, it's not just Ubisoft games, right? Like I've experienced it with many other games, like. People, you guys are going to hate me, but even Ghost of Tsushima, you know, which I know you guys love that game.
That. No, I can see that.
I got some serious open world fatigue in that game to the point where I was like, I didn't even want to finish this. I ended up beating it. I loved it, but there are definitely other studios, other publishers that make open world fatigue. It's not just Ubisoft, I assure you.
I think what Bethesda does well, especially with Skyrim, and which I always go back to as one of the best open world, is I like when you are motivated because of your curiosity, so you end up spending hundreds of hours in it. I feel like Ubisoft doesn't stoke your curiosity. Like, you're having fun, you're accomplishing stuff, you're leveling up, you're seeing cool sights, but like you're definitely just motivated because I have 65 of the 100 flags, I might as well find the other 35 of them. You know, I feel like there is that kind of like incessant naggingness to some open world games that is not as fun as others.
This is from Emanipio says Terminator Resistance SX version upgrade coming soon, Sean.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
I looked it up though, and it says it went live on September 27th.
So this is not on Game Pass, right? It's just a
No, it's a buy game.
Okay.
It's a buy game. How much is it on Xbox?
I think it was 40.
Oh, okay. There you go. And this is okay. This was from Nandito Hernandez. Once again, wanted to give them a big shout out for the support. Thank you, Nandito Hernandez. Big shout out there. And let me go over here to Streamlabs as well. Liam says, if you think the Pokemon dev teams are incompetent, you should meet the Minecraft dev team. Best-selling game of all time, owned and backed by Microsoft, yet they make you vote on the mob of 3 when a Muffet could add all 3 perfectly in a weekend. There you go.
Yeah, people are talking about that. They add one thing per year, and yeah, modders can add everything instantly. Yeah.
Okay. Sean, are you doing the after show tonight? I should ask you.
Yeah, I'll do it for a little bit.
Adam says, always love catching the show live. Now that 2023 is almost over, what are the cast's top 3 games of the year so far? Theirs would be Dead Space Remake, Jedi Survivor, Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and probably Starfield.
Let me ask you this then, MVG, with a Discord question that ties right into that. This is from Drew Man, who says, maybe I missed it, but did we ever get MVG's impressions and thoughts on Starfield yet now that he's beaten the game? I always value his opinions from a developer's aspect. Were you impressed with the final product from Bethesda, or did it fall short in some ways?
I did enjoy the game, and Nate and I will actually be recording an episode all about Starfield at some point, so check out Nate the Hate podcast.
So you set him up. Set him up for that. There you go. There you go.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, games that I feel like stuck with me real well. I'd say mine are Street Fighter 6, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and maybe Armored Core. Armored Core really, really impressed me.
Yeah, I got Tears of the Kingdom up there. That's still, I think, my number 1 spot. It's tough because there's still a bunch of games coming up here soon. Yeah, I think Tears of the Kingdom is definitely like in the 1 spot for me. But I actually have Jedi Survivor up there too, just like they do, because now it's fixed. I went back and looked at it, and it runs significantly better, and that's a really, really good game.
People are saying Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't played it yet.
Oh yeah,
so I'm waiting to play that.
I really wish I could get into Baldur's Gate 3. It's just not my kind of RPG. I wish I could get into
Mario
it though.
Sunshine.
Thank you, Sean.
Right.
I wish I could get into it. I feel like if I really liked kind of the pen and paper Dungeon Dragon stuff, I would be, and I can see the quality and everything. It's just it's not my game.
Give it a couple hours. Honestly, I do genuinely think that Baldur's Gate 3 is maybe the best game I've ever played.
No, it's good, but I also don't think John would like it in the long run. The weird, like, having to know all the background mechanics and metrics to try to like push yourself in certain directions. A lot of people who play these types of games don't enjoy kind of fucking up a conversation with someone because of a dice roll, and then you're just like, well, now I'm going to lose a whole chunk of the storyline, where that's actually kind of part of the fun of it, of being like, oh, well, I got to do this now. So I love it. I love how weirdly in-depth it can get. Like, if you do stealth runs, it's completely different than like combat runs or conversation runs or just generally anything. There's some issues, but yeah, definitely Baldur's Gate. I've been loving that. Armored Core, you said, one of my 3. And then I think Last Spell came out, finally, a 1.0 for it this year. It's a great tactics game. I love that one.
I just picture the zoomed out view when you're being robbed by a bandit at knife point and everyone stops. You put a bowl down and then you just throw a 16-sided dice into it to see if you live.
It is, but everything's so snappy, it doesn't feel like that. Even
I know, it's just funny. This is funny. Oh, yeah. Think about that.
Also, if you're trying to do like actual theft things, you can do the stop time. So you actually do turn-based, which is what you're kind of supposed to do, so you don't get screwed up by someone walking by, and then you can do that. But it's actually built in really well. There's a character early on, Mole. You can steal a statue for them, give it to them, steal it from them, meet them later, and then they stand there and go, someone stole that stupid statue. I have no idea. And it's like really, really fine details.
When we get to the end of the year, we're going to probably do an entire show just talking about the top games, and we'll try to come to some kind of determination as to a list. Probably not an exact game, like which one would be the game of the year, because we're all going to have different thoughts on it. But if we come up with a list of our top 5 games that we all agree on, I think that'll probably be the way we'll go about it. I might make it the easiest to take in all the opinions and figure out a top 5 list for 2023, and we'll hold on to that list as we go forward then from now on. So, and I think I had one other one here on Streamlabs. That's Pro Gamer says, still waiting for my Burnout 3 Takedown remaster. Anytime now, EA. I'll even pay extra if you can bring the OST with it. Oh, the Dead Space remake was great. You can do this, EA. Challenge everything. They need to bring that back, by the way. That was a good opening back in the day.
Challenge everything.
I like that. That actually meant something back then. Oh well. I like to convince myself it did. Those are simpler times, though. Simpler times. Let me go around here. Sean, you're doing the after show. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you as well?
RGT85 on the internet.
And then where are you going for your live stream afterwards?
Oh, RGT Live and Extras.
Okay. Thank you. Also, let's go to Max. Good to have you back. Where can everyone find you? YouTube.com/DreamcastGuy. I just put up a video about Assassin's Creed Mirage that people are watching and loving, so I appreciate the support on that. I have a big review coming up for Spider-Man, so get ready for that. Okay, and I'll go over to MVG.
You can find me on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. I have a video coming out on Monday, and I also have a video coming out on Tuesday. So busy week.
Two videos. Hold on a minute.
Yep. So check out the channel. And I'm sure there'll be a Nate the Hate next week.
Why? What's happening?
I told you, we're Starfield discussion.
Oh, I thought it was something else. Okay, that's fine. And then what about Evan?
You can find me on YouTube at Kimrick's Project if you're into tabletop games, specifically right now, Kill Team for Warhammer 40k, but some painting things. I think I'm going to try to put together a video about quickly and easily mass painting some stuff for people who don't want to have to spend all that time. That should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. So check us out over on the after show. Also check out spawncastnetwork.com. Link is down below in the description. And I do want to once again give a shout out to Nandito Hernandez with the big support, and of course Corey McIntyre, who we'll probably see over in the after show as well. So thanks everyone tuning in. We will be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll see you guys then.